It's very common for club teammates to end up being very good friends off the pitch. They spend a lot of time together and do a lot of things together, so more often than not, they end up being really close. Players get even closer when they're part of a duo or a trio. The best example is perhaps MSN at Barcelona. They were, and even still are, the best of pals. Mane and Salah seemed pretty close a few years back, but it seems like that relationship's not as good as it was before. So the question is, why is that? But just before we get into that, we want to introduce you to one of our major sources for football news, gist and insider scoop. OneFootball is your one-stop shop for everything football related. Live scores, transfer news, general football updates, literally everything. Also, you can follow your favourite club and favourite players and get all the latest updates about them as a notification from the OneFootball app. So what are you waiting for? Click on the link in the description to download the OneFootball app. You're welcome. Now, back to the big question. Why is the relationship between Mo Salah and Sadio Mane not so great anymore? Of course, we don't have all the facts as we don't know what transpires behind closed doors. But from our observation, here are some of the reasons the pair don't get along so well anymore. Firstly, it seems like there just might be some favouritism in Liverpool that affects this relationship. It's no doubt that since Salah joined, he's been the main man in Liverpool's attack. He has been their main source of goals and surely the man they look up to. But Mane has always pulled his weight too. However, he doesn't seem to get so much recognition for it. These days, with an abundance of options up front, whenever Klopp needs to make a change in attack, Mane always seems to be the sacrificial lamb regardless of how well he's playing. A very good example is the Premier League game against Crystal Palace in 2020. Mane was having a really good game and it looked like he could even go on to get a hat-trick in that game. But in the 57th minute he was taken off and replaced by Salah, who came on and scored 2 goals and gave an assist. Mane was visibly upset when his number went up and he was still not very happy watching the game from the bench. It probably felt worse for him when he saw Salah go and get the goals that should have been his. This has continued even into the current season. There are times when Salah has been absent in games and Mane has been so impressive, but Klopp has instead chosen to take off Mane and leave Salah on the pitch. Actions like this cause Mane to feel some resentment for Salah. Secondly, it seems like Salah doesn't pass the ball to Mane as often as Mane does to him, and this has been a sentiment that's been echoed even by the Liverpool faithful in recent seasons. As of 2019, it was reported that Mane had created about 90% more chances for Salah than Salah had created for him. So many times Salah has been in a better position to pass the ball to Mane, but he would instead choose to take a shot on goal. A perfect example of this was the Premier League game away to Burnley in 2019. Salah was surrounded by about 3 players, while Mane was free with just the goalkeeper in front of him. What did Salah do? He decided to swivel and take a shot with his weaker right foot. Mane was infuriated, and to make things worse, the coach even subbed him off the pitch, and while he was going off, he had a lot of things to say. Even when he was seated on the bench, you could see how angry he was about Salah not passing the ball to him earlier in the match. Watching clips like these, it's hard to think that these two have a very cordial personal relationship behind the cameras. Also, when we see them on international duty, they don't have that camaraderie we often see from club teammates. I mean, we all saw how Neymar and Messi were before, during, and even after the very keenly contested 2021 Copa America final. We hardly ever see that from Mane and Salah. They don't even seem to crack a smile when they walk past each other. We only saw Mane console Salah once after the AFCON final defeat, and that was it. Speaking of defeats, Salah's Egypt lost to Mane's Senegal twice in a matter of 2 months. Surely for a pair who don't get along well on a normal day, watching your teammates celebrate at your own expense twice could possibly have caused some resentment in Salah. And the losses being costly would have only made it even more hurtful. He first lost the AFCON final to Mane's decisive penalty in a shootout where he didn't even get to play his own penalty. Then he lost World Cup qualification the very next month, again to Mane's decisive penalty in a shootout after missing his own spot kick. Now, the duo coming back to the Liverpool dressing room with polarising emotions after these outings must have been really difficult for the staff and players. If they decided to congratulate and celebrate with Mane, that could have made Salah bitter towards Mane. If they decided to play it quiet and not talk about the game at all, Mane may have yet again felt neglected and indignant. The Liverpool staff and players must have been walking a real tightrope back then because of the relationship between two of their most influential players. And it is possible that all these things are unravelling now because Salah and Mane did not take time to build a personal relationship off the pitch when the Egyptian first joined the club. Of course, there has been a good professional relationship, but the personal touch seems to have been missing. And don't just take our words for it, we're not the only ones who've noticed that the relationship between the two Liverpool forwards has been deteriorating over time. Trevor Sinclair, former Manchester City winger in 2021, talked about a problem he had noticed between the two African superstars. He said, "I feel like there's been a massive problem which has plastered over the cracks with Salah's relationship with Mane. I feel Mane is a huge team player and Salah is more for himself, and that's been a relationship problem for a long time for Liverpool." Michael Owen, who himself played for Liverpool back in the day, once suggested that Mane refused to go down in the box when he could have easily gotten a penalty because he didn't want Salah to get another easy goal. And the Liverpool staff are not deaf to these talks coming from the fans and the media. Jurgen Klopp even once had to address it. In a bid to clear the air and keep the minds of the fans at ease, he said, "These kinds of stories, they didn't happen. I cannot guarantee it for the future, for all time, say it will never happen, but these kinds of discussions never happened." Of course, as the captain of the ship, we don't expect him to contribute to its sinking. So denying everything is very understandable. But there have been too many indicators that the relationship is not as good as it used to be. Surely not as good as we expect it to be. If you have more instances that show how bad the relationship between Salah and Mane is, or some ideas as to why the relationship is how it is right now, share with us in the comments. We want to hear from you. As usual, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one.